Welcome to week 2 of Ignite. Today we're going to be going over habits and willpower. So as we start to create our goals and we begin to alter our lifestyles towards healthier habits, we may get to a point where we may feel stuck. So in this week's content is aimed at preparing you for habit changes that will prevent you from getting stuck and giving you information and tools to overcome willpower fatigue when healthy decisions get tough. So what is a habit? A habit is a routine of behaviors that is represented regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. So we may not even realize that we are doing a habit. Like, for example, brushing our teeth. That's a wonderful habit. And you might not actually consider that a habit, but it may be part of your routine, and it certainly is a habit. There are both good and bad habits in the world, and a good habit for one person may be a bad habit for another. Some examples of habits can be biting your nails, that could be a bad habit, but then making your bed in the morning is a great habit. Drinking your coffee before work, your morning routine, your nightly routine, the order you put your clothes away in every morning, and driving your car even to work can become a habit. When you work out, when you snack during the day, these are all habits. A habit loop is the process our brain goes through to perform a task or a habit. So a cue triggers our brain telling us which routine to use. And this routine, it could be physical, mental, or an emotional behavior that follows our cue. And from that routine, we then get a reward. So this is a positive stimulus that tells our brain that this routine is working well. So this is where cravings can come in. So your brain can be cued by a certain trigger. So it could be hunger, and then your routine may be to walk over to the fridge and take a look inside, and then you're rewarded by whatever you eat, whether that's good or bad. And this can be for anything in life. So exercise, for example, your brain craves your exercise, and then you go on your routine. So whether it's a run, walk, doing yard work, or even coming to the fitness center and doing your workout, that's your routine. And then your reward is a positive stimulus from your brain telling you that that routine works well. And then regardless of which habit loop you've seen before, the same idea is at play, is that there's always a cue that elicits a response from an action. So how do we make habits stick? The first part of making new habits is recognizing that poor habits may need to change or alter. So after we have picked our new habit and decided what we need to change or alter from our poor habits, the second step is then learning what cue is. So this could be an emotional stimulus, or it could be an environment stimulus. It could be dependent on the time of day. So in order to avoid your cue and plan around your cue, you need to become aware of your cue. Step 3 is all about changing your action. You may not be able to change the time of day, but you can change what you do at that time of day. Be if it's a snack or going for a walk, you can change the way you interact with your daily routines after you become aware of your cues. For the fourth step is habit stacking. So this is when you pair a new habit with something you already do. For example, if you make coffee every morning, but you want to start your day off with a big glass of water, while your coffee is brewing, you can drink a glass of water. That way, the habit that you already have in your routine can help you elect healthier habits, as well as without taking away from your current routine. And thus you will feel more successful because you have successfully introduced a new habit after you became aware that your routine consists of you drinking coffee in the morning. So now if you add that glass of water, it will help you feel successful that you created a new routine. So take a moment, you can pause the video and write down these questions in a notebook or somewhere on your computer, and then answer them on your own time or when they come up. So the first question is, what are some tendencies you may want to change? This could be snacking, staying up late, drinking soda, how you deal with your interactions with food, or it could be even mindset about some of these things. So just write down that question. What tendencies do you want to make change? Which leads to our second question, is what cues do you recognize that happened that precede your behavior? So, if the example is snacking, is it, that you're walking over the fridge, or instead of going for or doing some exercise, whether it's, a walk or, doing some yard work? Do you instead get home from work and turn on the TV, after a long, stressful day? Is that one of your cues that triggers a response that we want to start changing? And then can you change the cues from stopping the behavior? Or can you notice the cues and actively choose a different behavior? So that's something to try to focus on, is when you realize you're going through your routine and you're doing the same cue, whether it's stress or you feel that hunger coming on, you walk over to your pantry or your fridge and you choose an option that might not be as healthy as what your goal is wanting you to. So can you notice that cue actively and try to choose a different behavior? Resources and action items. Power of Habits, Atomic Habits. These are great resources to use to learn a little bit about the challenges dealing with habits and kind of getting ahead on, figuring out your cues. And there are a ton of apps out there, each with different highlights that can either be simply tracking your habits or they can go more in depth. After conducting a simple Google search, you can find many habit apps, and you can make a list and see one that works for you. And maybe an app isn't for you, just trying to write something down in a notebook, trying to be able to be aware of your habits. So it just depends on if you have an Android or an iOS device and what fits you best. But there are many resources out there that can help you get on top of your habits. So when tracking a habit, it takes a few days to recognize your habits, especially the ones you want to change. So for example, nail biting, you identify your cue, your routine, and you track. So using a card, like a note card or notes in your phone, you want to track the response to the cues start with a week and move on from there. So still taking our nail biting example, every time you notice you're biting your nails, add one tally mark to an index card. If you recognize when you're performing this habit, you can be more diligent about replacing that action or avoiding that cue. Just like tracking your food can help someone choose better food options, tracking your bad habits can help you choose a better response to the cue over time. It's like rewriting our brain to react differently. So this will help us by trying to first realize what our cues are, and then we are going to try to track those in a journal or a note card, and then we're going to use this information later on to altogether figure out our cues and realize how we can kind of get over some of our past habits that we're wanting to break. So what is willpower? Willpower is the control exerted to do something or restrain from impulses. From a survey on stress, 27% of Americans who took this survey reported that this lack of willpower was their most significant barrier to change, whether it was dieting, exercising, or behavior change, or trying to change those cues with their habits. They exerted a lot of willpower, and a lot of willpower was needed to stick to their healthier habits, sometimes leading to willpower fatigue. So where does willpower come from? Willpower comes from the prefrontal cortex of our brain, the part that is all about decision making. And just like a muscle, the brain can actually become stronger as we use it over time, though it also can become fatigued. So if we're using a lot of willpower to stay up on our habits and our cues and trying to actively change them, we can get pretty tired of it over time. And that's when you hit that wall, you fatigue out, and then you sort of just fall back to where you were before you even started. So we can make our will stronger, and don't worry that your will can be learned and practiced. So the more you use it, the stronger your willpower will become. And you want to start slow so that you don't hit that willpower fatigue. So there's two ways or two responses to a failed willpower. There's two responses to willpower when you fail. You either have the optimistic look or the pessimistic look. When you are more of an optimist, you see things, the glass half full, that, yeah, the situation was rough, but, it will get better next time. Versus that pessimistic look, you blame yourself and you can't really recognize that there were improvements made indeed. So optimism can be taught with positive, constructive outlook versus that helplessness that can come from a pessimistic perspective. And that leads us into mindset. So having a positive mindset versus a negative mindset. So willpower can be assisted by changing up on your mindset. The better your outlook, the easier it is to make the right decision and the less fatigue that will set in on our willpower. Think of it that you get to do something. So, for example, food is just one that is a common theme that keeps popping up. So that eating this will help reach my goals, not that I have to do this, I have to exercise or I can't eat this. That's an unhealthy, negative mindset. And this all comes back to those healthy habits and our cues. So we're trying to set a positive mindset with a positive cue. So say you eat a good meal, this will give a positive effect and a positive, happy, relaxed mindset, which then will trickle down. So now that you're almost craving that positive effect, and then it goes through the same cycle. So you eat and you reinforce the idea that action you're doing is a positive effect, which will all go back to that positive cue, leading you back down into a positive cycle versus a negative cycle where you negatively reinforce yourself, whether it's exercise or drinking water. So if you're getting into a negative mindset, criticizing yourself or what you're doing, that's just going to get a negative effect on your body, and then that's just going to put you in a negative cycle that just continues, that your reinforcement is via negative, and it's going to actually decrease your action versus trying to switch that over to a positive effect and positive cue that will increase your mindset and your outlook on all of your goals. And a big part of that positive mindset is replacement words. So you got to hold yourself reasonable for the actions you're setting from each day-to-day decision. And a big part of those replacement words, so instead of I can't stop snacking or I can't go to the gym because I'm tired, is, I won't stop snacking, or I won't go to the gym because I'm tired, or, it's been a long day at my desk, my water is empty, I can't go upstairs and fill it, versus, I won't go upstairs and fill it. So in order to keep track of your goal, you got to put that in the forefront of your mind, and you have to use these positive replacement words. So instead of I should be eating healthier, say I want to eat cleaner to increase my quality of life, which kind of also hits onto those SMART goals we were talking about last week. So changing the way you talk to yourself can make a huge impact on your actions. This swap creates a sense of responsibility and call to action for your willpower. It's a lot easier to go from won't stop to will stop than it is from saying I can't stop to I will stop. So it's all about taking those little steps. These replacement words help keep your goals at the forefront of your decisions each day. So for an example, I want to work out, but I also want to lay down and watch my show. What you're going to figure out is what motivates you and what's stronger. You're going to see, are you going to cave in and watch your show because you've had a long day, which is okay. We've all had long days, and that's totally fine. And we've all been there. But, maybe instead of going and doing a full workout, you kind of just, break it down into a smaller part. So using these replacement words and trying to actively think about your cues will all help reach your goals. And some replacement words that we want to try to avoid are the try and can't, because this, it's when we use try and can't, it avoids responsibility to commit to those actions. So we really want to commit, which is why we want to say I won't versus I can't. Framing and reframing examples. So I am trying to live a healthier life versus I'm changing 2 or 3 habits each day. So it's just those little reframing sentences that we try to do. So another one, I'm going to stop smoking forever. That's kind of hard to say that you're going to stop smoking forever versus I'm going to stop smoking for today. So taking it one step at a time. I'm going to eat healthy and work out versus I'm going to choose healthier foods and move more each day. So none of these phrases are wrong or bad, but the framework around them changes. So the phrases on the left are bigger, broader goals and tasks, and sometimes attaining these goals can be hard or even impossible for some. Not saying anything is truly impossible, but it can be very daunting. And the phases on the right are shorter goals, smaller steps, and you can gain more success with smaller steps, which can help reinforce the positive mindset of thinking. Think of a photo that has multiple unique colors. If you put it in a frame that doesn't match the color scheme, it looks, it looks okay. But if you find a frame that goes well with the photo, it puts the whole picture together. Take this concept into our lives. When you look at a habit or a life change, looking through one of your frames may make things look bleak, challenging, or hard. But if you change your frame, the whole idea comes together and seems to be doable, and that's the idea of reframing. So for some reframing examples, always reframe in a positive way, not rose-colored glasses or sugar-coated, but just look at things through a positive situation. So your thoughts and framing should be self-fulfilling. Don't ever put yourself down, because if you start putting yourself down, you're actually going to start acting that way, and you're going to manifest the reaction that you're actually trying to avoid. So some of the big questions are, and I want for your takeaways, is, are your habits supporting your long-term goals? And if not, how can we edit them? So using kind of what you've learned today, I want you to try and take a look at your habits and those cues that create those habits, and do they support your long-term goals? And if not, using that note card or find an app that works for you, trying to record your habits and slowly trying to fine tune and edit them that they go one in one and coincide with your long-term goals. Another big thing is self-talk. So many people who can't make healthy decisions, or they keep making healthy habits in their lives, but are not inept at committing to something or have low willpower. It's usually that they're actually choosing to put their efforts in different areas of their lives. They're taking their success in other aspects of their lives, work, planning, parties, hobbies, etc., versus their, current goals. So I encourage you to try to stay with positive self-talk, take responsibilities for your actions, and try to see what changes. For our week 2 challenges, as the community challenge, I challenge you to go and work out with a friend or a colleague, or come to one of our group classes here at LOL Fit. For your physical goal is to play a sport. Get moving in ways by playing a sport this week. No matter what sport you do, you'll enjoy this challenge. So there's so many options. It could be golf, soccer, football, cricket, tennis, swimming. The list is endless, but pick a sport. Could be something new, maybe with a friend, and try it out. The homework for this week is to complete the 7 F's Wellness Wheel. Now, concluding this presentation, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or comments or things you want clarification on. We are here anytime to help you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for viewing, and have a wonderful rest of your day.